Does this sound like your life? Scattered, jumping between tasks but never finishing. Saying yes when you want to say no. Avoiding hard conversations and holding it all in. It's time to stop overcomplicating life and turning it into your advantage. Experience T Now, a monthly membership designed to help parents, professionals, and dreamers like you conquer self-sabotage and thrive. Save your spot today. Get early access, a special gift, and start transforming your life. Because no one needs to go it alone when we all come together. Your customers' everyday purchases can make a difference, whether they're shopping in-store or from a computer, for their family, or just to treat themselves. Why not help them turn those purchases into support for a cause they love? As a community Pay It Forward giving partner, a portion of what they spend goes directly to a mission that touches their heart, at no extra cost to them. With our Shop, Click, and Pick program, it's so easy. They visit our website, choose your business, and make a purchase. Then they simply choose a cause they love, and because they made the purchase from you, they donate to a cause they love. Community Pay It Forward. No one needs to go it alone when we all come together. What if one small act could change a life? What if your everyday purchases could support a cause? Join me for a special 3-hour podcast as we introduce incredible giving partners. Hear inspiring stories. Learn how you can shop with a purpose. And be part of a movement that turns kindness into action. Tune in, ask questions, and discover how you can pay it forward today for a better tomorrow. Imagine a world where small acts of kindness create a ripple effect of support. A world where financial struggles never stand in the way of hope. That's the vision behind Community Pay It Forward. After a life-changing motorcycle accident, I saw firsthand the devastating impact unexpected financial hardships can have on families. That's why I started Community Pay It Forward, to ensure that no one faces these challenges alone. Community Pay It Forward is more than just a single program. Through community impact and packed podcasting, people all coming together, we amplify the voices of those making a difference. And with Community Dare to Care, we provide essential goods like clothing, food, and school supplies to those who need it most, to the community, from the community, for the betterment of the community. With Community Pay It Forward, we support families, children, veterans, community projects, no matter where they are. We are not just providing assistance, but hope for a brighter future, not just for people in need, but for businesses that are out there struggling, trying to find a way. We have a plan, but we need your help to reach the next level. We're launching a crowdfunding campaign to raise $500,000. This will allow us to market the Community Pay It Forward program more effectively and to acquire a vehicle for delivering essential goods to families in need in our community, and enhance and strengthen our programs to serve even more people. And as a thank you for your generosity, we're offering special incentives for your contribution. As we tell people all the time, your donation, big or small, will imagine a world where small acts of kindness create a ripple effect of support. A world where financial struggles never stand in the way of hope. That's the vision behind Community Pay It Forward. After a life-changing motorcycle accident, I saw firsthand the devastating impact unexpected financial hardships can have on families. That's why I started Community Pay It Forward, to ensure that no one faces
Born into a real fight wasn't right. Where can she dream here? Took a hold of her life, left at night, stepping out of her fear.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Zach Clayton, Community Pay It Forward, Community Dare to Care, and the PAC channels. Even though Facebook has done it again to us and has kicked us off, not allowing us to broadcast live on Facebook. So if you were looking for us right now on Facebook, we're not there. I just don't understand what the hell their problem is. Could have something to do with EV mooks. Who knows? Who knows? I'll tell you. I will just be honest with this. When it comes to it, I miss StreamYard for this reason. StreamYard had its problems, but man, this EV mooks thing with all the problems that we have broadcasting to Facebook pages, boy, I'll tell you, it's just kind of a pain in the butt. Anyway, I want to welcome you all to this another Wednesday night of Community Impact. Please, please, please support the program if you can. Right here, this QR code, in which I have got a hair, which is just driving me crazy. But support the program if you can, because we need as much help as we can get right now with some of the things that are going on. We understand that things are a little tight for you. I also know that things could get very, very tight for us, and things could get pretty much impossible for us to continue if we don't get a little bit of help. So please keep your fingers crossed and help if you can. Scan the QR code, become a sponsor, become a supporter. If you become a supporter, we've got some prizes that we're going to be giving away, some kudos and some extra special things. If you would like to get a hold of me, you can get a hold of me using this QR code as well. Today, we're going to be talking to Bill Walters, who's been part of the program for quite a while with the Parents Consortium. And we haven't had a chance to talk to him in quite a while. We're also going to take, and I'm going to replay the episode that we did with Joel on Monday. And I'm going to do this because I really think it's important that right now we do our best. And this is a guy thing. Yes, women are guilty of it too, but not near as much as men. I don't hear a lot of women out there becoming classist or misogynistic or racist to the extent that we're hearing it from men. Knowing things and knowing everything is a problem. Knowing things isn't a problem, but thinking you know everything, that's a pretty severe problem. That's a bad problem to have, to be honest with you. So what we talk about is how can you go from understanding that I'm a confident, trustworthy, positive, smart male. How far do we have to go before that slips into being misogynistic, racist, and just, well, let's just put it this way. And kids, plug your ears. Where's the line between being confident and being an asshole? That's what we really want to talk about. We want to make sure that we're staying away from this. We do use two of the individuals that are in service right now in in this country. And folks, I'm going to tell you why. Because these two men don't give a damn that you think that way about them. They don't care. They both bragged about the women. They've all they both you know are doing stupid out front things that are proving that they have problems with other races. They don't care if you call them misogynistic, classist, or racist. They don't care. So yes, we do use Elon, salute Musk, and Donald Trump. We do use them as an example. Like their politics or not, I don't think any of us should aspire for our kids to grow up being like them. I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, I want to hear from you. I do. I want to hear from you. I want to hear why. Why would it be okay for your kid to show what these gentlemen are portraying? And guess what? I know you're out there. I know there are people out there like this because I know there are a lot of people who are very racist or very misogynistic. I rode with you. I drove truck with you. I shut you down every damn time I could because I don't believe that's right. So we're going to play this episode that Joel and I recorded earlier in the week, partly because I really enjoyed the episode, and I really thought there was some great detail in it. We're also going to be talking about the financial struggles people are going through right now and how we can do things because, folks, like it or not, it's coming. There is a hardship coming. You've been warned. Both sides are saying it. The president is saying that, you know what, we have to learn how to, live with a little discomfort. Of course, he also said he would have it fixed in 24 hours, but, I'm just saying. He's saying that because you know what? It's about to hit the fan. And it's not going to be fun for any of us. We need now more than ever to stop pumping people up in the government, being on one side or the other. And we need to stand up together and we need to sit there and go, you know what? I don't give a damn who you voted for. I can see you're in trouble. Let me help any way I can. That's what we need to do. We cannot continue to bash people. We cannot continue to hurt people. We have to stick up for each other. So, we're going to talk about some of the financial struggles that are going on and what we can do to help. And one of the ways that we can do this is by visiting our good friend, Mr. Bill Walters. And as soon as I play another spot or two, we're going to jump right into the interview with Mr. Walters. So please stick around. And if you have somebody that you know is trying to find us on Facebook, please call them and tell them, hey, Facebook's screwing with him again. Join him on YouTube. I'm going to try to make a post sending people to you or sending people here, but we got to do what we got to do. Here we go. I started Pact Podcasting because I believe you should never shut up. I believe the stories have a power to inspire, educate, and bring people together. Whether it's business owners, nonprofit leaders, or individuals making a difference, everyone has a story worth sharing. I wanted to create a platform where these voices could be heard, where we could spotlight the impact people are making and encourage others to get involved. IMpACT, People All Coming Together Podcasting, is a platform dedicated to sharing the stories of entrepreneurs, profit leaders, and change makers who are working to build stronger communities. Through in-depth conversations, we highlight their journeys, challenges, and success, helping to connect people with causes, ideas, and businesses that truly make a difference. Our goal is to grow IMpACT Podcasting into a go-to resource for storytelling, networking, and community impact. We're expanding our reach, bringing in new voices, and increasing our production quality to make each and every episode even more powerful. In the future, we want to create more live events, collaborations, and educational content that empowers, educates, and gives people hope, allowing them to take action. One of the best ways to make a difference is by sharing stories that matter. You can support IMpACT Podcasting by listening, donating, sharing episodes, or even joining the conversation as a guest. Every story we tell has the potential to inspire someone to take action, start a business, support a nonprofit, or simply help a neighbor. Together, we can create a ripple effect of positive change. Introducing Shop, Click, and Pick, the simplest way to support those doing good in communities everywhere. We understand that shopping is a necessity, but with a slight adjustment, you can make a huge difference without spending any extra money. Here's how it works. Please visit communitypayitforward.us and navigate to the Find Your Partners tab. Discover our verified giving partners, which are trusted allies ready to meet your needs. Shop with any of the partners that resonate with you. Click a picture of the receipt or invoice, then pick the mission partner you wish to support and use their QR code to send the receipt directly to us. After that, all you have to do is sit back and enjoy your purchases, knowing that you've made a meaningful change for someone in need. Community Pay It Forward amplifies your business's impact by sharing the story of those who require your services, rallying support for those who need us all. Because no one needs to go it alone when we all come together. I haven't had a lot of time to talk to this gentleman. He and I are part of, have a partnership with the Parents Consortium. And we, as a mission partner, we're really proud of being just a small part of what they're doing with that. But Bill, you are now in the world of trying to take care of people financially in the long run. I'd like to introduce you to Bill Waters. What are you doing, Bill, with Transamerica?
Well, Zach, thank you very much for the question. Currently, I'm meeting people where they're at in their walk of life. So if they're leaving corporate America to start up their solo or entrepreneurship, if they're coming out of military service and they want to get started with a roadmap to success, I help them by creating a game plan. And simply put, we talk about that six-letter curse word called a budget, and we create a budget that someone can live with. And and inside that budget, we create a budget for the future in retirement so that they get a today budget and a budget in retirement. And I do this absolutely free, meaning that you meet with me and I give you my time, effort, and experience since 1991 in helping people create a roadmap. Now, in that process, once we look at what you have in place versus potential needs or gaps in your protection, we then concentrate on either saving money income tax free, which is not a Roth. We concentrate on removing stock market risk from savings so that if you experienced time in the last few days of March and you had a 20% loss in your savings or 10% loss, when you're with me, we put a floor in that protects you from losing money. So you only stay positive. And so when you add those two aspects or pillars in retirement together, tax-free accumulation and removing stock market risk, and as an average double-digit growth every year, people have a win-win combination that really prepares them for retirement.
What are some of the what are some of the mistakes that people make when it comes to retirement that can easily be remedied?
So there's a couple of mistakes. The first one is that um, if you have money invested in the stock market or a 401k and you say it'll rebound, what that really means is that you are waiting for you to get back to break even, which sometimes could take anywhere from 3 to 5 years. So there's ways to eliminate that. Uh, Another mistake people make is they're not saving enough or a percentage of what they are bringing home on take home. They're not putting into some form of savings. And one last mistake, which many people just are oblivious to, eating meals out, buying coffee out. Now, I'm not talking coffee from McDonald's. I'm talking coffee from a national company where you can do the same exact thing at home. If you just eliminate coffee out to once a week and meals out to once a week and do your meals at home, um, it's going to be a huge savings in your checkbook or your savings because it's the cost of food right now is so high, but that cost going out to dinner for a family of four is always going to be $100 in today's market, right? Whereas that same meal prepared at home probably costs you around 20. So think about the savings.
My wife and I, we have a joke, which is not really a joke. It's actually a sad statement on the way that things are. But we walk into Walmart and we might as well just take and crumble up $100 bill and throw it on the ground because we could go in for butter and Propel water, and we're still going to spend $100. I don't know what the hell it is, but every time we walk into Walmart, $100 just seems to appear on that, $100 or more. Let's,
Right.
you know, but it's we never walk into Walmart and spend like $26. Like I said, we walk in, we might as well just crumble up $100 bill and throw it on the floor. But and unfortunately, and in which we have been warned by the powers that be that until we see for sure what's going on, there's going to be a little bit of pain, and especially when it comes to eating out and groceries and stuff like that. We don't know what's going to happen right now. Politics aside, we don't know what the environment looks like right at this time. Let me ask you this question: how eh, should people be a little guarded on starting something right now because we don't know what the financial vision is?
So The best time to start a game plan for retirement is today. Regardless, if you look back in 2008, we had an economic crash. In 2021, we had an economic crash. And we're probably going to have a mini one, maybe a 4 to 6 month one this year. It's already started. I've been predicting it since last year at March. I will just tell you this, that savings is savings. Now, every game plan for retirement looks different, but I could tell you what a perfectly outlined game plan should be. You should have 5% of your savings in gold and silver coins. Okay. Coins or through a reputable in hand, not stored in Utah, not stored in Maryland, but in hand someplace in your house. You should have a tax-free retirement accumulation, and you should have a tax-deferred accumulation. Now, notice I did not mention stocks, bonds. I did not mention anything like that because you have, as a general consumer, unless you're one of the big players, no real control over the economy and the stocks. But what you do have is you have control over your future. And if someone helps you game plan on how to create a budget, how to live within a budget, and I'm not saying eating spaghetti and SpaghettiOs every night and rice and beans. What I'm saying is we create a food budget, we create a living budget, we create an entertainment budget, et cetera, et cetera. When you add all those things together, you create a game plan to live by and take vacations with. And in retirement, you want the same thing. You want the ability to pay your bills, spoil the grandkids, and feed yourself and take vacations and create memories. It's the same exact thing, except you're no longer earning. So you have to have a nest egg. And from that nest egg comes the opportunity to live. And if you do it the right way, the nest egg replenishes itself so that you don't run out of money.
You
And
mentioned gold and silver, Bill.
yeah,
Tell us about gold and silver. Why is that such a smart move?
well, um, I think it stems from the fact that it's a physical, tangible asset you can possess. But there's only so many reputable people. So, um, and I am mentioning gold and silver in two forms, in coins and in um, 1 ounce bars, right? That's how you don't want to go to a pawn shop or somebody you don't know to buy it, right? You want to go to someone reputable. And as an advisor, I can refer you to the proper people, and they will, and they're reputable, and you get certificates of authenticity, and it's registered and it has value. So it's either way. So silver is underpriced, tremendously underpriced, and I think you'll see that market take off. Even though gold is extremely high price right now, um, we're looking like we're heading towards a gold-backed dollar, and even one step further, we're looking like a gold-backed dollar that's going to be virtual. Okay, so you kind of want to protect yourself and have some assets in hand. Uh, and again, that's something I can help you with as far as leading you down that road.
We ever at risk of what happened in the 40s where it was illegal for Americans to actually hold physical gold in their households? The government came and they took the gold, and they paid you for your gold. Don't get me wrong. They didn't just steal it, but if you had gold, they needed it, and so they procured the gold from all the families. Are we at any risk of anything like that happening again?
Well, no, yeah, we're not at risk for that as of right now. Plus, um, what I'm suggesting is gold coins, and
Right.
silver coins, and they don't and won't know how much you have and where it's stored, and you don't have to. Now if they had actually happened, they would have to look at jewelry, right? And melt down the jewelry and give you the value, and you would have to produce a certificate saying this is what I paid for it. If they want to pay you for it, go ahead. You can always replace it. So it's not a big deal. I don't think that that's going to happen. I don't think we're going to get to anarchy like that. But I do think that silver is way undervalued, and gold, even though this is hard for people to fathom, is also way undervalued, and it's going to continue to rise. So, um, but in retirement game planning, only 5% of your game plan should be that maximum.
What is the value of a 1 ounce of silver right now?
Do you have 1 ounce of silver right now? Is that what you said?
Oh, what is the value of 1 ounce of silver?
Oh, so the trading right now for silver, it's been fluctuating up and down. Okay. But I could tell you that its potential value within the next 5 years could go up as high as $150 an ounce to $180 an ounce. Um, the current the current marketplace for silver fluctuates between, say, and just because I don't know when people are going to be hearing this, between 30 and $50 an ounce. Okay. It
Um,
can fluctuate. Okay. So it's not a big ticket item. And that's why I'm a big fan of silver, because most common folk can afford silver. Okay. Most people cannot afford gold per ounce, right? So, but silver is very affordable.
what about other precious metals like palladium and platinum?
So they don't have as much, to the right person, they have value, right? But for day-to-day expenses for common folk to have, and common folk means those people who are earning, and you ready for this, less than $250,000 a year are common folk. Okay. It's the people that earn more than that are going to have the need for that other type of metal. Um, I'm not a big fan um, of those other metals. I'm sticking it to just gold and silver because there's too much market fluctuation, and most people don't understand their uses of those other metals.
Okay. Um, so we've got 5% in gold. What's next? What's the next thing that you want them to concentrate on in their portfolio?
Um, I would love for them to concentrate on the rule of 110, and I'll explain it to you. So, Zach, for simplicity's sake, we're going to say you're 50. Okay. And the rule of 110 is simple. You take 110, you subtract your age. In this case, your age is 50 in this example. And that leaves you with 60. 60% of your savings should be in tax-free retirement accounts, not called a Roth. Okay. Definitely not called a Roth. Okay. So that leaves 40% of your retirement, if you're not doing gold and silver, with tax deferred, like a 401k or a 403b. Because tax free, as you take distribution, the government doesn't take their 25 to 40% out of you. Okay. And as a result, uh, you don't need it uh, to be more. Whereas if you have a tax-free retirement account, what you earn is what you keep, and the government doesn't get their share, right? So when you have more in tax-free accumulation, the better you are.
Okay. All right. And then what do we follow that with?
So when you look at a game plan for retirement, and you have, say, 5% in gold and silver coins and 35% in a 401k or something similar to that. And if you're with me, you would transfer that 401k without tax repercussions into a self-funded pension. Okay. And once you create that self-funded pension, that money essentially grows dramatically in the next 10 years. Uh, and you have the tax-free retirement account. So then people say, well, what am I missing? Well, depends on your means. You could be missing real estate. You could be missing long-term care planning and your game plan for retirement. You could be missing creating a legacy for your grandchildren. Um, so they have something to look forward to. So it depends on the wherewithal and economic feasibility, but there's always gaps to fill in, and it depends on your interest, what you want to invest in.
Okay. Okay. And and you mentioned not that you don't do like that you don't suggest a lot of the market and stuff like that. Is that just because the market fluctuates too much?
It's a personal belief, but I don't know if you remember back maybe 8 to 10 years ago, stock was released for a company called GameStop. And all the kids went on and bought stock, and the stock tripled. And the next day, the stock market disallowed that trade and all those gains and gave the people their money back because they controlled the market. And it's because the people were on the opposite side of that growth. So once that happened, and all these individual kids that were in their teens and early 20s made all this money, and then it was literally taken away from them, it became ever apparent that we're not in control of the market. And if we're not in control of the market and someone else is controlling the market, then we should have not direct exposure to the market, but indirect exposure to the market. There's a big difference. So by not having direct exposure, you're you're limiting yourself to not losing money, right? And by having direct exposure, you're going to have the fluctuations, and it makes no sense why stocks go up and down, right? And so if we're not in control of the market, if it's not logical that if they record a year and the stock goes down, why did it go down? Right? It's because people that are in the know are on the wrong side of that ledger and they're betting against them. So you don't, if you don't have direct control, you kind of want to limit your access to it.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. It is kind of scary that you know, the example you just gave, that is kind of scary how that works, that somebody else has the control of all that and you're kind of stuck at their whim. Bill, how do people get a hold of you?
It's easy. First of all, my cell is always available, which is 267-278-5062. 267-278-5062. My company name, even though I am a part of Transamerica, uh, is called Perfectly Imperfect Families, plural. So it's www.perfectly, perfectly, imperfect, imperfect, families, plural, families.com. You can book an appointment there. My consultations and budgeting advice are complimentary. So I want to help everyone achieve a little nest egg or a big nest egg, whatever they're capable of doing. But I want them to dream a little bit bigger because once I help you, you'll actually see tremendous growth and great potential.
People need to have prepared when they come to talk to you.
Um, an open mind and an open heart are what they need to have to be prepared, because I do outside of the box thinking and discuss positive mindset. if they know rough balances of their checking and savings, rough balances of their 401k or their 403b, and what the company matches, and are willing to share with their goals, dreams, and desires, I can get help to them.
Um, it's great to get caught up with you. It definitely has been a little too long. That's for sure. Why don't you go on ahead and tell us all a little bit about Advocacy Consortium. That is such a tongue twister.
Yeah, so ultimately, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get parents knowledgeable about what services are available to them. So if you have a child that is um, atypical or on the spectrum, and you want to know what services are available or how to apply for those services, it requires two things: the ability to listen and the ability to be coached. Because of HIPAA laws, we or my friends and I can't fill out the forms and paperwork, but we can advise you how to get the services that you need and deserve. So if your child has Angelman's, if your child is on the spectrum with autism or Asperger's, and each child is unique and different, there are ways to get help. Now, the most important thing to keep in mind is that when you have a child on the spectrum and you have a medical doctor's diagnosis, and that child is receiving Medicare or Medicaid, depending on the situation, and the child is also receiving some Social Security or disability income. When you add those things together, you never want that child or that adult child to lose those services. And that's where it comes into play of having a special needs trust and protecting those assets. So it's really important to have preparations so you don't lose those services, but also there are these unique things called a waiver, which are available, in which the state pays you directly for caretaking, you, the parent, for caretaking care of your own child. And that could be for as much as 30 to 60 hours a week, depending on that situation. And that money that comes in could make a huge windfall for you for happiness because it gives you some disposable income for just being a parent. So just keep these things in mind uh, and and allow yourself to be open to change and to get help.
You know, Bill, one of the things that I do remember was the why when it came to PAC. Why were you part and I know that you worked with a bunch of veteran parents. Why did you guys start PAC?
Well, it's pretty simple. My daughter was and is on the spectrum. My dad uh, served in the armed forces as a Navy guy, and um, he was one of 18, and 16 of 18 served for our country. And so freedom doesn't come free.
No.
And a lot of times, people's memories are awfully short, that people sacrifice uh, their their time, their life, their family life, their their future for our freedom. And there's no real way to express your gratitude for their efforts and service other than to try to give back or to pay it forward. Because you do not know what struggles they went through emotionally, physically, uh, in those circumstances. So the best thing you can do is support someone who is in those circumstances to reacclimate, to adjust, and to ensure that their efforts were worthwhile.
Um, it's it's such an important program because it helps parents navigate through some very tough times, and it helps them get to where they need to be, and it helps, well, exactly what it says, advocate, make sure they're taken care of. So, Bill, one more time before I let you go, how do people get a hold of you?
Yep, it's Bill Walters, 267-278-5062, or www.perfectlyimperfectfamilies.com.
All right, and if you would like to support Parent Advocacy Consortium, God, I cannot say that this morning. But if you would like to support it, this QR code that you're seeing in the corner here is their QR code with Community Pay It Forward. Scan that QR code, and when you scan that QR code, a portion of your purchase will go to support their program. So, Bill, I would like to thank you so very much for you being here. Let's keep in contact. Please, if you have anything else that's happening, would you come back and let us know about it?
Be my pleasure. Always here to help and aid anyone and everyone because everyone is important. And without having a proper mindset, um, it doesn't work. So we want to uplift, encourage everyone to be the best versions of themselves.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Well, thank you, my brother, and we'll be talking soon.
All right, take care.
And because of the way that it was all set up, I was unable to put the QR code up there. Right here is the QR code to support Parent Advocacy Consortium. So they really need to come up with an easier name to put together. Parent Advocacy Consortium. It's just one of those that's a little bit difficult to say, but it's a wonderful, wonderful program. They do a great job. Okay, look, we're going to talk real quick about some of the financial struggles. And of course, because we have been focusing on our heroes, there's stuff in here about our heroes, but the truth is, this goes for everyone. Okay, this information really goes for everyone. I was looking through this, and this is, I'm by God no hero whatsoever, but a lot of these are affecting me personally. Okay, many people face severe financial difficulties due to several systemic and personal challenges, including low pay and inconsistent benefits. Jumping back and forth from job to job is another thing. You lose your benefits. Yeah, having company benefits is great and everything, but make sure that you're protected. Make sure that you can try to see that they transfer over. Make sure that you get yourself set up in a better way, in the best way possible. Always have something else to fall back on. Don't just think that, you know what, I've got the company life insurance, that's good. I'm not going to name the company. I should, but I'm not going to name the company. And unfortunately, this is something that happens more than not. Okay? I've seen this happen at a lot of places. One of the companies that I was working for, I knew four individuals that were getting ready to be able to retire from the companies. And before they could, all of a sudden, something happened and it gave them a chance to lay them off, get out from underneath their, their, um, dedication to them. There was nothing more disgusting to me than seeing that happen. Seeing people that worked for these companies for 30 to 35 years, and this is hard labor. This isn't, this isn't sitting there, you know, playing stupid video games at your desk. This is actually working physically long, long, hard, hot, windy, cold, windy, rainy, windy hours. And seeing stuff like that happens, knowing that now, yes, at that time they could depend on Social Security picking it up, but you got to remember, and this is really hard to take. If you have a job where you're working a huge amount of overtime, that does not reflect in your Social Security. It's only a portion of your average 40-hour work week. And it's quite a shock to the system when you get that first check and you're like, oh my God, this check I'm supposed to live on for a month is what I was making for a week. In a week. And I am telling you, there is nothing that is worse than having that realization. And if you're with a company that you don't have a backup plan, you could really be in a lot of trouble. So always make sure that you have a backup plan. Always make sure that you have something else set up for yourself, for your family. As Bill was talking about, gold, silver, diversify. These are things that you really need to make sure that you have. Regardless of what happens with our economy, gold's not going to go down in price. Okay. You heard me ask him how much is silver right now. Silver's down. But he also said that before too long, silver could become 3 times, 4 times, 5 times what it currently costs. So I think right now is a good time to make a purchase of silver. You often receive wages that don't match the risks they take every day, that you take every day. Transferring jobs may struggle with job placement and inadequate pensions. Again, this is if you've worked at a place for a long time and you find yourself being laid off, it's going to be quite a shock to your system. Medical expenses. A lot of times these benefits, as we were just talking about, they do not transfer over. And so you're sitting there, you're stuck there. And I know a lot of times in the blue collar world, gray collar world, you've got a 3-month block where you don't have insurance for those 3 months. So you're on pins and needles for those 3 months going, geez, whatever you do, don't get hurt now. This is a huge one that really hurts people. And this is one of the reasons why contacting people like Bill, like Geneva, like all these other financial coaches that we have in the Community Pay It Forward program, is so important, because lack of financial education is, look, it's damaging. It's very, very, very damaging to you and your personal life. If you don't know how money works, you don't know how money works for you. We all know how to spend money. Spending money is the easiest thing in the world. It's a lot of fun sometimes. But it's also not the smartest thing in the world. Again, just taking and blowing everything that you got just because you got it, that's, it's a little dangerous. Trying to move from one position to another one, or if you're looking for a job and coming out of these schools where they say that they're going to place you, one of the problems is, do you have the skills, the real life skills that people are looking for? I know a lot of times, again, I'm not going to be specific, but I've heard it from tons of people. How, well, I went to this school and I got this training and all of this happened. They said they were going to place me and they gave me suggestions on where to go and look, but they all wanted real world experience. Now, when it comes to the veterans, fire, first responders and our heroes, I'm going to say this to all business owners right now. If they are responsible for the most up-to-date technology in the world, they can run your equipment. Okay? So anybody who tells a hero that they need to go in and get a degree to learn how to run a piece of equipment when they have spent the last at least 2, if not more years training on the best equipment in the world, come on. Come on. Let's get real here. Some people struggle with affording, with being able to afford stable housing, leading to homelessness and housing insecurity. When I got injured, and I went from what I was making once a month, what I used to be making every week, you had to try to figure out, wait, this month, am I going to pay rent, or am I going to pay for all the electricity and everything else and have to go back and pay all the late fees and do all this other stuff? Situations made it to where, I was trying to do a lot of this on my own and you just couldn't do it. It was unsustainable. This is another pressure that people have. This is one of the reasons why people fall into depression. If something happens to them and their life is changed in more than one way. Real quick, I want to play this. This is for my greatest friend, one of our original sponsor, one of the greatest people I know. He's a good friend, great attorney. If you are in the Colorado area and you get hurt, this is a man who, instead of putting his face on commercials telling you how many millions he's got, he puts his money behind causes, behind missions like Community Pay It Forward. This is a little spot for my friend Scott O'Sullivan.
World. My name is Z, or you can call me Mr. Z. I am a web developer, and I am also a consultant at Z World Webs. My one goal is to develop custom websites that are specifically catered to your organization's needs. I completely understand that building a website is an exhilarating, exciting, and significant step in connecting with your audience. Your organization has the potential to make a meaningful impact, whether it's supporting animal rights, advocating for equality, combating human trafficking, or honoring the brave individuals who have served our country. Your mission is too important to be held back by the challenges a website can present. And I am here to ensure that your website works for you, not against you. Whether it's maintaining, developing, or redeveloping a custom website that is specifically catered to your needs. And with that being said, I would be more than delighted to learn more about your organization and, of course, develop a website Z World is waiting for. Thank you.
Along with the housing problems, of course, that leads to stress with the family. Stress with, family strain. The stress of financial hardship can lead to family breakdowns, increasing in mental health struggles, and reducing overall being wellness and being. There's nothing like having a family there, and then next thing you know, they're gone. And it doesn't matter if it's your decision why they're gone or not. Your family's your family. You work hard to support your family. Some of the ways that these financial stresses affect people's lives: mental health decline. Financial instability leads to anxiety, depression, and increased suicide risk. Again, if every time you turn around, I've said this a million times, I'd go through that accident every day for the rest of my life if I would have been able to send my son on that trip to Germany, Switzerland, and Austria. For the school to tell me that, well, we have a payment plan, I was like, oh, great, we have a payment plan. Still got to have money to make a payment plan. Increased debt, crippling debt. Many rely on credit cards or loans to survive, trapping them in cycles of debt. That includes those high risk cards. Those things are such a trap. They look great at first. Hey, we guarantee you $500. Of course, you only get like 425 of that. But then they turn around, and once you default on them, they're wanting 900 plus for that $425. Loss of purpose. Some struggle to find fulfilling work after leaving a job or after an accident or and not being able to go back to be who they were, leading to an identity crisis. As a guy who was putting in 70 hours a week, when I lost that, still sometimes to this day, when I go through some of the difficult times, like I'm starting to have a little more difficulty because of my medication regimen. It's about time for the treatment injections in my skull to come about again. But because we're behind on that, they are taking a little while to build up. So I'm having more and more problems with my cognitive endurance and being able to do things right now. Well, that leads to a lot of self-doubt because you're sitting there and you're trying to figure out how in the hell could I used to work 70 hours a week without any problem, and now I can barely get through an 8-hour day without falling asleep at my desk. It's difficult. It really, really is difficult. Of course, you have homelessness and poverty. We've got a terrible, terrible problem with poverty in this country. And it is sad to me that you could be below the poverty line, very easily can be behind the poverty line, yet you still don't qualify for assistance. Again, this doesn't make any sense to me. It's never made sense to me and it never will. But that is the reason why we need to work together. And that leads to the last one, limited access and resources. Bureaucracy, red tape often prevent people from quickly getting the help that they need. There are wonderful organizations out there. Catholic Charities was one that came to our rescue a couple times throughout the years. And I do appreciate them, and that's for me to be thanking the Catholic Church. Something's weird, right? Anything with the word Catholic on it, that's not exactly my cup of tea. We'll put it that way. What we can do to help, as Bill just talked about, financial education and coaching, job training and placement, debt assistance and relief programs, mental health support, community support and fundraisers, emergency financial assistance, and affordable housing initiatives. These are all things that we can work on together. These are all things that we should be able to work on together and make sure that we're taking care of other people in our lives. We can do this together. We just need to do it. We just need to do it. One way that you can support people is tell them about the Community Pay It Forward program. They need a little bit of help. Maybe they're going through something tough. Call them. Tell them, hey, you know what? Why don't you go and check out Community Pay It Forward? It doesn't help right away. And you have to put in as much work as anybody else to make it happen. But it's a way that we can support you simply by turning business into a donation. Your customers' everyday purchases can make a difference, whether they're shopping in store or from a computer, for their family, or just to treat themselves. Why not help them turn those purchases into support for a cause they love? As a Community Pay It Forward giving partner, a portion of what they spend goes directly to a mission that touches their heart at no extra cost to them. With our Shop, Click, and Pick program, it's so easy. They visit our website, choose your business, and make a purchase. Then they simply choose a cause they love, and because they made the purchase from you, they donate to a cause they love. Community Pay It Forward. No one needs to go it alone when we all come together. Difficulty in the middle. He is in the UK, and technology sometimes just doesn't work well. There's a lot of times I don't like talking about a lot of politics or political aimed conversations, but I really think this one's important. Our guest is Joel White with Rewired for Men. How you doing today, Joel?
I'm all right, sir. Yeah, it's quite a reasonable evening across the water, as they say, across the pond.
Yeah,
so the sun's out, but we'll see what tomorrow brings. It might not last. So
you know what's funny, Joel? It was 70 plus degrees yesterday, beautiful, sunshiny, wonderful weather here in Colorado. Right now it's 40 degrees and just raining like crazy. So, the old statement in every state that I've lived in, if you don't like the weather, Wait a minute. So, that's just kind of the way it is here in the States. Like I was mentioning before, we don't like delving too far into politics. I don't believe that your political belief is who you are. I think that your political belief is part of what you believe. I don't think anybody's got it all right, and I don't think anybody's got it all wrong. But my question to you today is how, as men, do we navigate the waters of being seen as a misogynist, but still remain confident? Because there are so many things that, with the disintegration basically of DEI and all this other things. I still don't think there's a lot of men who just want to go out there and go, women need to be in the kitchen, and those that are out there, shut up, you're wrong. Women should have rights too. Okay, so, and if that pisses you off, I'm sorry. I am sorry. But it is hard sometimes to I had this question, or I had this conversation with a really good friend of mine, Sabrina Morris. Love her. Okay. And my question to her is okay, DEI, I can understand why it was in place a little bit, but if you are not a racist or a sexist individual, you should hire the best person available.
Mm.
And I think that if we would take that extra step as business owners and we would say, this is why I chose this person over you. If next time a job opens up, if this is what you get, it would give you an extra, it would give you a step ahead of everyone else. So
Mm.
I think that if we took away DEI, it's not a terrible thing as long as we were open to hiring everyone and we could explain to people, I didn't hire this person because he was a white male. I hired this person because ... And if you would do ... that would give you an advantage over everyone else. And I don't care who you are. So how do we navigate between misogyny and confidence?
I think for me, because we were reflecting on that before, being confident is being assured of yourself, being confident within yourself. But, there's that phrase, quiet confidence, where a person just has that sort of thing to them where you don't have to be rah, 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 and out there and, shouty, shouty. You can just kind of tell. It's really interesting when you see people like, or you even experience it yourself, almost like a knowing who you are, having a solid foundation, not necessarily having to prove yourself. And I think when the more you see people being misogynistic and out there and rah, 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 the weaker the foundation that they actually have within themselves, the more threatened they actually are of other people. And a lot of the work I do is around unconscious beliefs, what's going on in the background. And if people are carrying unconscious beliefs like I'm not good enough, I'm the problem, I'm broken, I need fixing, I'm not worthy of success, the more than likely perhaps we'll find them acting out misogyny, trying to prove themselves to others who can shout the loudest. And when you touched on this before, I'm not into politics in this style, but it's interesting watching the individuals who are supposedly up front and centre in the roles that they're doing. And very much, we've touched this a little bit, what we see at the moment with Donald Trump and what we see with Elon Musk, that's very misogynistic in regards to how they are portraying themselves, in regards to what they are saying and their body language. It's quite intimidating and threatening. But behind all the shouty, from my personal opinion, where people agree with it or not listen to this, I think there's very weak men there. I think there's men at their foundation level feel that they are less than, that they feel threatened by other people, that they feel broken. Yeah, somebody would go, oh, look how much money they've got and they're rich and they're standing. Yeah, I get it. You can still be one of the richest people in the world, but still inside think that you're worthless and no good and weak and all the rest of it. Your bank balance does not determine your ability as an individual. And I think, again, this is all connected. A lot of men that I work with, Zach, and I don't know if you come across them, they have really interesting, they have really interesting ways of how they define success. What I find with a lot of men is they define success as an external thing. The size of their car, their house, their bank balance, the wife that's on the arm, the jewelry that they wear. And all that links into the suits that they have and how they portray themselves, being shouty and all the rest of it. But all that's external. And as we've seen, I don't know what's going on in your country at the moment, but there's been big changes over here in businesses about national insurance and how much they pay people. And a lot of businesses are going bust. And some of these individuals have been like the big I am with my business and multi-million. Within a week, they're gone. They're filing for bankruptcy. And it's really interesting to see how that impacts on those individuals of being so external about success. And, when we're going back to what we talked about Elon Musk and Donald Trump, yeah, they may think that they're the big I am at the moment, but I'm sure with the changes in economics and favor and all the rest of it, will pay its toll. And I'm sure there will be changes in that. And for me, it is worrying that these individuals are in the positions that they're doing with the behavior that they've got, being misogynistic. One would hope a lot of men don't see that as the way to be. I don't know what your thoughts are around that.
I really do. And there's 2 points I want to make here. Joel, there was one point in time somebody asked me, Zach, have you been successful? And my very first thought was, no, I haven't made a damn penny. I have so little money in what I'm doing. And then I caught myself and I'm like,
Yeah.
My mission is not to make money for myself. My mission is to help other people. And by God, we have helped other people.
Yeah.
So I stopped myself from lying to not only that person, but lying to myself. And I turned around and I said so confidently, yes, I have been successful because, damn it, I have helped people.
Absolutely.
I will say this, the one thing, and there are a lot of things about the current administration that just turn me ill, make me sick. And I'm not ashamed to admit it. I also believe that, you know what? We've got to give everyone a chance. We got to see what's going to happen. And if we come together, Joel, what they're doing doesn't have to affect us as much as a lot of people are letting on. If we work together, it makes them moot, pretty much. But the one thing that I'm seeing the more and more of is exactly what you're saying. They are portraying that, you know what, we're going to make everybody so rich. We're going to make people aren't going to know where to spend the money, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't make you a person.
No.
That doesn't make your life, it makes it a little bit easier in certain places, but it doesn't make you a better person. It doesn't make you successful. You can have all the money in the world, but if you are still a miserable SOB, you're still a miserable SOB.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's really important what you touched on there. The whole thing about what is a real man. And, a real man, how I personally see it, is not what's being demonstrated by the administration. It's not just in your country, in other countries as well. That's not being a real man, to be misogynistic and negative towards women and other people and this, that, and the other. That's not. And for me, and on my website, for me,
Seems like we lost Joel for just a moment. And hopefully we're going to be getting him back here real quickly. But I did just want to, go on ahead and say, look, the truth is that, and I'll bring this up with Joel again when we're able to get back with him. But I really think one of the things that's going on is we can take and you know none of us none of us have been good to everyone we've met. None of us. We have all had problems with some of the people that we've met before. All of us have done people wrong at one point in time or another. Okay, there's none of us that have been angels, none of us that have been perfect. Ye of religious faith believe there's only one person who's been perfect for his entire life, and he died on a cross for us. Those of other persuasions don't, just don't see people as you know as perfect. The truth is that every single one of us have made that mistake to where we haven't treated people like they should be. It's one of the reasons why I try to tell people, just remember that, you know what, you need to love other people out there. If you've got the hoodie, give somebody that feeling of humanity. And if the hoodie doesn't fit you, give it to somebody else who's struggling, who's out, maybe sleeping outdoors, maybe just a little down on their luck right now. And that hoodie could give them that confidence that, you know what, I feel better. At least I'm warm now. I'm not, we give them food that we've cooked for ourselves that we absolutely do not need. That gives them that feeling of, hey, you know what, I got a meal today. It's not everything I need, but it helps me today. That's so important. So this was really not an attack on any political side. So those of you who think I'm attacking a political side, you're wrong, because I'm not. Because there's a lot of things that, you know what, when it comes to it, I truly believe that that one side is going to say that we should or shouldn't do something. That, in my belief, I believe the country is that America life, you should have the freedom to do as you please, as long as you're not hurting other people. I really think that, I mean, yeah, we've got laws, yeah, we've got all these other things, but I really do believe that the American way of living is, do good, lift yourself to where you need to be. You don't need to have a bank account of $1 million. You can live like a millionaire and only have $52 in the bank. You can live the best life that you can imagine if you, just live within yourself. I really think that if you focus 100% on, well, I got to have more money than my next door neighbor. Well, if that's your entire focus in life, you're going to go through and you're going to do things that you're probably going to regret. When your focus really could be, you know what? What I need to do is I need to see how I can help my neighbor, and we can live together, and we can lift each other, and we can do great things together. So I really, really believe, personally, deep down inside, this is an important question. We would love to get your comments. We'd love to get your questions. Please feel free to reach out to us at Zach, Z-A-K, at communitypayitforward.us. Zach, Z-A-K, at communitypayitforward.us. It looks like we're getting Joel back. Hopefully, things are coming back on board. But as I've said before, this is a very important question. So Zach, ZAK, at communitypayitforward.us, we really want to hear your questions. Joel, go on ahead and continue where you were at, please.
Yeah, sorry about Zach and the people watching. Technology decided to do its own thing with the internet.
Yep.
So thank you for covering that bit, Zach. I'm sure you did well with it. What I was saying is this whole thing about a real man and how opposite is actually to what misogyny is and the old big I am man of the past. And it's like, for me, a real man is someone who's willing to be authentic, to be, God forbid, vulnerable, to be open. And it's like I had a session today with an individual and he broke down in tears. You know, this is a guy who plays hockey, he plays rugby, he plays golf, he goes out drinking with the boys. And he broke down in tears. And he apologized and felt embarrassed. I'm like, why? You know, you're showing emotion. That's what a real man is. You're being authentic with yourself. That's that whole process, what we are talking about earlier on, about that quiet confidence in knowing yourself and having a strong foundation and being okay with crying, you know, letting that emotion out is really, really important. Not like what we see this big I am way of being. That's far from being a real man. And like you said before, if anybody looks at that behavior, which is being demonstrated by, you know, your current administration of Elon Musk and Trump, and goes, oh, that's really great, they are way off mark. And they're not even on, you know, they're not even on the same page at all. Really not. And again, if anybody out there is listening to this and think it's acceptable behavior of what they are seeing from the current administration in America, then they really need to rethink their own behavior and their own way of being, because it's not being that way.
Yeah, because I think there's a lot of signs of not taking any responsibility. You know, if you're going to sit there and say you're going to get something done, and when that does not come to, and then you turn around and say, hey, you know what? It's someone else's fault. It's not my fault. Maybe a better way to look at that is going, you know what? We're in deep. We're working on it. I know I said this. Maybe what we need to do, ask for a little bit of extra time to see how we can dig into this. Not turn around and blame somebody else. You know, if you want to say, if you want to come out and say, I'm going to change this, I'm going to do this, here's my timeline that I need, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it right. But when you come out and you're not able to accomplish that, turn around and blame someone else, not take the accountability yourself. I'm sorry, that's the wrong way to go about it. Say, look, this is a bigger problem than we were expecting. We need a little more time. Please
Absolutely.
work with us. You know, show that vulnerability. Like you said, not everything can be a win. Life is not all wins. It's not for anybody. Everybody has to take losses at some point in time. Everyone has to sit there and go, oh boy, that didn't go well. That's how we improve. And to sit there and say, you know what, if it didn't go the way I want it, it's the other guy's fault. First off, that's showing how much of a child you are. That's not being a man in any way, shape, nor form.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. You know, and again, you know, you touched on something that's really important is couple of things really to reflect upon. That whole thing about what makes a real man is somebody who takes ownership and responsibility and accountability. If they make a mistake or they do something, it's not even about making a mistake. It's a learning experience. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
And if you're willing to take the learning from that learning experience, and that will make you more become a real man and less of a misogynist, at the end of the day. And the other thing, what you said in there is this whole thing about, oh my God, I'm a failure for losing or being a loser. It's like, no. For me personally, I don't know about you, when things have not gone well, whether I'm responsible or not, and that's been actually the opportunities for the greatest amount of learning, the greatest amount of reflection, if you're willing to take it. And like you said there, it can take a lot to admit you've made a mistake if it's not something you're used to doing, but by God, you're going to get more growth from it, from that learning point. Note the change there, learning point, not a mistake, from that learning point of going forwards. Do you know what I mean? And again, it's really important to reflect on that. Even if you don't win, it's not the end of the world. If you have that quiet confidence in yourself that you already feel you are enough and you are worthy and you are successful already, then you're going to deal with life better when challenges occur or things don't go your way, or unfortunately you upset somebody knowingly or unknowingly. You'll be able to deal with it better coming from that place with that solid foundation than if you are displaying misogynistic behavior and more than like in the background, you're coming from a very poor foundation. That's what's going on. And again, you obviously know more being American yourself in America with the current administration. I'm sure that if they started to show more personal responsibility and accountability, that would actually help them become better individuals. And more than likely, more people actually like what they're doing. But unfortunately, that's not happening. And people might say, "Oh, that's politics." No. These are people.
Yeah, it's nice of you to say that, me being American, I have more of an idea of what's going on. And there ain't nobody who knows what the hell's going on right now, but to be honest with you, but and I just want to throw to people, okay, here's an example of what I'm talking about. Again, it does sound like we're going after the current administration, but what I want to say is here's one example of how this is not going after the administration. This is nothing about who they are or what they're doing. I made the admission a week ago that I am currently having a very serious personal struggle with prescription medications because of having dealt with pain injuries now for over a decade, and now living my life without those pain medications has become really problematic. Not only do I have to deal with the pain, but I also have to deal with, if those pain medications are gone, holy shit, I've got the chills, I've got, nervousness, mood changes, all that other stuff. I've become dependent on these drug medications, okay? But if I were to take and say, these damn doctors, they've made me, they've gotten me hooked. They didn't do this. They didn't do that. Where it might be, there might be truth in that. There is truth in that. But those doctors were not the ones shoving the pills down my gullet. I have to take the responsibility that this struggle that I'm going through right now, it's on my fat ass. That's not on anybody else. That's on me. I need to take the action to wean myself to find a solution to my problem. And I will never be able to find my way clear of what I'm dealing with until I can admit I have at least as much blame, if not more, than anyone else. I have to do this, right, Joel?
Absolutely. And what you've clearly demonstrated there is what a real man is, Zach. And hats off to you. And I mean that. That's what a real man is. And just picking up on something you said earlier, which is again clear, it's not that we are picking on the administration and using them as a negative example, but it's clear in what people can see on the TV, regardless of what we're relating it to and talking about. And part of that is making it so obvious for people to see, A, because of the nature of the positions that they're in, but B, on the nature of what we've been talking about, which is misogynistic behavior. It's a classic, it's a classic example of what we're talking about. It's plain and clear to see, and again, it's it's something you can link into. I think what's really interesting is just to pick up on it, because again, people hear these words but don't actually fully look into what they actually mean. I've just let's use a bit of a dictionary definition, and AI says misogynistic refers to hatred, contempt, or prejudice against women or girls, often manifesting as a form of sexism that maintains patriarchal social structures. And to some degree, if you look on the behavior of what you have by the administration, a lot of that is there in front of you to see. And I think that's, again, really important reflection point. This is not me and you singling out the government and saying blah, blah, blah. This is a clear example of what we're talking about right here, right now, and how it completely contrasts what it is to be a real man. And I think another thing just to pick up on, Zach, is what you were talking about right at the beginning. You use an acronym. I think you said DEI. What is that? What was that? What does that mean?
That's the Department of Diversity, Equality. Just one second. Let me get this right.
Is it inclusion? Is it?
Yeah, diversity, equality, and inclusion, and it's actually DEIA because it's also accessibility.
Yeah.
So
again, you're right. That's kind of what I thought it was. We have the same policy over here, and they are really important to have. But again, this kind of links into what we were referencing in our previous show that we were talking. We kind of touched on it a little bit to taste it in our previous show last month. The whole idea of how society has swung from toxic masculinity and perhaps too far over now into toxic femininity. And to some degree, what I personally found is that we've gone in kind of talk from my own reference of in the UK, that we've gone from a very toxic way of looking at people who have disabilities or a different color or whatever it is, where we've now actually gone so far the other way, almost to what is positive discrimination, where people are frightened to have conversations. People are unsure about something. And if you're a bit unsure about something, you're not really sure how to voice it. And it can come across a bit clumsy. And when they tried to do that, some people have then been targeted for being racist or discriminatory or whatever. And it's like, no, they just don't know. They just don't know how to voice it. They don't understand certain things. So we've almost gone from one extreme to the other. And like you said, I don't care if you're black, green, blue, purple, white, red spots. If you've got a job that you need somebody to do, you're after a specific skill set, aren't you? And I think, unfortunately, the society we live in, where people are so frightened about, oh my God, I've got to employ that black person, or that brown person, or that green person, or spotted person. I don't care. But that person might not actually be the right person for the job. And that's just going to be just detrimental to everybody, isn't it?
Yeah. And I mean, you know what? We have gotten a lot better in a lot of cases when it does come to seeing people as equals. I mean, if you think about it, back in the days of, our ancestry, if somebody was born with a disability, they were left out to be eaten by wolves.
Yeah.
But the truth is, you know what? I mean, you look at people who, hell, there's a form of autism with Elon Musk. He is autistic. Yeah. Okay, guess what? He has been able to take and work with his quote unquote disability, and he's become one of the most successful financially men the most successful financially man in the world. So, for us to take and sit there and say, hey, look at this person, they've got this, they've got this struggle that they have to work with, they're useless. BS, man. That's throwing, that's crap. If we as business people do not look at people who have ability difficulties or abilities that they have to work around, we cut off potential clients.
Of course.
So, one of the questions that I was going to ask you when we unfortunately lost your connection is this. And this is a statement I made, and I'd like to hear your opinion on this.
Yeah, go for it.
And misogyny does fit into this, but there's also, classism and racism and everything
Yes.
else. We
Isms.
have looked at other people in our lives. Every single one of us, it doesn't matter who it is. Every single one of us at some point in time has looked at somebody and downplayed who they are, and we have lifted ourselves above them. So we cannot throw stones at everyone, but it's really, it's really becoming apparent the ones who are not just lifting themselves above other people, but see their way of manhood as continuing to climb above them and leaving these people in the dirt, right?
Yeah, and that also goes into what we're talking about. The more insecure you are at the foundational level, the more you are driven to prove yourself to yourself and other people. And if that means stepping on somebody to do it, then you'll do it because you're so weak at your foundation. That's what happens. And again, picking on what you said, Elon Musk has got autism. He's done really well to get to where he is, and he'll be one of the richest people in the world. But that doesn't give him the right in his behaviour of what we've seen and how he conducts himself. It doesn't. And again, sometimes people have run foul to that. They've had their own difficulties, whether it's learning difficulty or physical disability, whatever, and they've done really well. But that doesn't mean that then it's okay for them to turn around to somebody else and point the finger at somebody else. It's not. That's just as unacceptable from that degree. And I think that's also an important point, to raise and bring in. We are all individually unique in what we do and the situation that we have. And for me, I myself, I've been diagnosed with dyslexia, I've been diagnosed with ADHD. I don't see myself as suffering with these things. I see myself as living with these things. I also see them as part of who I am. They don't determine who I am. And it's down to me and how I want to utilize them. For me, my take on ADHD is very much as a superpower. I feel there are certain things about how my brain, because this is about your brain and how my brain has adapted from things that happened to me perhaps when I was young. That's how I see it. I don't see it as a woe me at all. That's how I stand in regards to how I look at my foundation and how I've managed with that. And for me, if I look at it that way as something to live with and being aware of it and having a superpower, and at times there is a bit of kryptonite, if I'm open to seeing all that, that makes me more of a real man. That gives me a stronger foundation. If I choose to not look at it and not take responsibility and accountability, I'm denying myself from becoming a whole person or real man or whatever it is.
Oh, yeah. Look, you don't have to like other people's decisions, but that doesn't mean that you're right and they're wrong. There's still, we are in I dread the thought of saying this. We are still in a country of freedoms, okay? As are you. We are in a country of freedoms, and people are allowed to, and I've said this so much it makes me sick to repeat myself, but I wish to God I knew everything I knew when I was 16. I'd be the smartest person alive. Nobody could tell me a damn thing at 16 years old. I knew everything there was to know. If I knew half of what I knew at 16, I would be a brilliant person. I've grown into knowing I didn't know squat when I was 16. Okay. I could possibly have been the dumbest person in the world at 16, but I knew it all. Yet I've been able to grow as a person. And I don't ever want to be the person who thinks that he knows everything. I don't want to be that person because the day that I see myself as not being able to learn, that's the day I want you to throw my butt in a box and seal it, throw it in an oven and call me a goner. I want to continue to learn. I want to know more about what you've experienced, who you are, because that is what's exciting to me. Our differences are what makes life exciting to me. This fascination with everyone being like everyone else, that just makes me sick. That's just gross.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. And again, it's interesting, and I think you sort of touched on it a bit. This whole idea of what equality is. Equality isn't about everybody being exactly the same. That's not what equality is about. Equality is about seeing people with their differences for who they are. That's how I see it. Not everybody being exactly the same and wearing the same clothes, because history has taught us that doesn't work, and that's been tried in various countries around the world. And again, I'm not going to go into that, but it hasn't. It doesn't work. We are individually unique. At the same time, we can coexist, alongside each other. And again, something what always comes back to me that, as far as I'm aware, in certain indigenous cultures in the world, particularly with men, they won't start leadership training until the man is at least 40 to 45 years old. Because they believe as a man, you need that experience to make mistakes and get it vastly wrong. And by that point, you've got some lived experience to work with. And I feel part of that initiation, because that's what we're talking about, almost lacks in our society. And again, we kind of touched on this before in previous months. And today, when we weren't filming that, a lot of those rites of passage, as it were, of initiation done in a respectful way, it doesn't seem to really exist anymore. Particularly in my society. Whereas I guess the people will say, "Oh, we do initiation." Yeah, that usually involves drugs and women and alcohol. That's not initiation to be a real man. That's not about real man at all. Do you know what I mean? We don't actually have these rites of passage anymore. And I think it's sadly lacks. I think if we had these traditions still, because it did happen in our cultures a long time ago, or if we actually integrated some of that from other cultures that do that around the world, I think you would see more real men with solider foundations and less misogynistic individuals as men. Don't get me wrong, you get women who are like that, but obviously we're here talking about that from a male perspective today. I think there would be a lot less, very much so.
Well, like I said, I like this conversation, and it's kind of funny how it came on because you when we first started talking about this, I asked you if you had anything that you wanted to talk about. You started telling me what you wanted to talk about, and I just got a giant smile because I had this question written down, and they were so in line with each other. It's like going, "Oh my God, have we been doing this show for years now, or what?" We're starting to think like each other, so but I really appreciate where this show went, and I do. You know what? I know this show's going to this episode's probably going to twist some knickers, if you will. I mean, this show is going to make a couple people. Well, you can tell they're, you know, well, let's just put it. You can tell that they're leftists or whatever. And you know what? You're wrong. You're dead freaking wrong. Because
Yeah.
I do also believe, like I just said, you know what? When it comes to it, age limits are not a terrible thing. So, I mean, if I was allowed to do everything that I wanted to do when I was 16, oh, my life would be terribly, terribly, so much worse. So,
Yeah, I
you know,
couldn't agree more.
but there we need to be able to step up, take responsibility, make sure that we're watching out for each other. And again, I really think that the point that you made that is so important, money doesn't make a man, power doesn't make a man. You cannot be a man if you are not doing things that make you happy. If you are not doing
Absolutely.
things that make you personally satisfied, and I don't see how people can be satisfied when they can go walking down the street and seeing other people suffer. I don't see how that makes anyone satisfied. So,
Absolutely. And I think even to the point where some people walk down the street, you see others suffering and have a laugh at them and take the mick
yeah,
and prod them and punch them and kick them. That's just not on whatsoever. And again, it all back to that foundation stage of what's going on in your foundation. To be honest with you, going back to the point you meant before, if some people have had their nose slightly out of joint or their knickers in a twist, or whatever, what from this episode or previous episodes, that's a good thing. Because if that's happened to you, what's come up for you? What's come up as an emotion for you? What's come up as a belief? Because something's been triggered in you for that to happen. So perhaps be curious in your own emotion about why that's the case. And also, as we always say, Zach, towards the end of the show, if anybody's got any comments, questions, or concerns, hell, write in. Put them to yourself. They can contact you. They can contact me. Come on the show. We'll be more than likely happy to have you, whether you're good, bad, or ugly. Come along.
yeah.
So,
You know what the truth is that we're not inviting you to come on the show to debate you. We want to come on. We would like you to come on the show so we could give you a voice, so we could
yes,
understand you. Because if there's something that you see that we're saying wrong, we want to find out what we're saying wrong.
yes,
And maybe what it is there's just a misunderstanding in the way that things were said. I said this during the 22-hour podcast, and I gave someone an exercise. I said, okay, I want you to say a sentence. Now, say that exact same sentence in a different pitch. And it's going to take two different meanings. We could
yes.
be saying the same thing, but because of the way we said it, you heard something completely different than what we were saying. So if you disagree with what we're saying, you are more than welcome to express an opinion by putting it in the chat, or ask to come on the show. Ask to,
Absolutely.
we're not going to run away. We're not going to run away.
Absolutely.
Okay. Our goal is to help you, others,
Yeah.
help
Couldn't
everyone.
agree more.
So,
Couldn't agree more.
but
As a final, go on after you, Zach.
no, go, please.
I was just going to say, as a final point, if people do want to know more about what I do and how I can help you to rewire those unconscious beliefs, those things that are holding you back, those side of things perhaps you're not too proud of, knowing that you are perhaps a bit too misogynistic as a man, please get in touch with me. Rewired for Men does all the things at the bottom here in 1 month or less. And you've also got the QR code here. If you want a 30-minute chat, just scan that QR code. My diary will come up and we'll just have a chat. Virtual coffee, 30 minutes. That's the offer.
Right there, scan that QR code and you can get a hold of Joel. You can always get a hold of me by using my card, or call us 970-909-0751, 970-909-0751. Send me an email at Zach, Z-A-K, at communitypayitforward.us. Joel, another wonderful conversation. This, like I said, then, and again, just showing how much we're getting connected, which is almost scary. What I was going to ask what I was going to ask when you didn't want to interrupt me there was, how did people get a hold of you, Joel? So you did exactly what I was going to ask you to do. So I mean, it
There
is
you are.
getting this is getting a little weird. I'll tell you that. So, but Joel, thank you very much for participating. Thank you very much for being part of our program. I'm going to let you have the final words, and then we'll walk on out of here.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, Zach. Thank you so much. Always about the internet going down, but I'm sure you kept it going. If anything, what we're talking about today, hopefully, if someone who watches this, you'll have a better understanding of what makes a real man, not a caveman misogynistic way of being. So, yeah, thank you, Zach. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you
What
very
if
much,
one
Joel.
small
We
act
will
could
talk
change a
to
life?
you again.
What if your everyday purchases could support a cause? Join me for a special 3-hour podcast as we introduce incredible giving partners. Hear inspiring stories.
I'll be done.
Learn how you can shop with a purpose.
I can eat the meatballs out of it.
And be part of a movement that turns kindness into action. Tune in, ask questions, and discover how you can pay it forward today for a better tomorrow.
I mean, you'll like it, yeah. But I'm not going to waste it.
Again, we did that episode fully knowing who we were talking about, and we're not afraid to talk about it because they're not afraid of it. They live it. They take on that aspect of who they are. So, it's a trait that I'm not comfortable with, and it's a trait that I definitely wouldn't want my kids growing up to be like that. I don't want to see my grandkids growing up to be like that. It's an ugly trait. It truly is. So, we need to take responsibility, and we need to take the fact that we are different, and we should love that. We should respect that, and we should honor that. Your differences are what make you you. You stay different, okay? Don't come be like me. We don't need another me. There's already one. We don't need another one. We don't need another you because you're here. Let's make sure that we're all the same because we're all different. Sorry. Let's make sure that we're all different because the truth is that that's what makes life interesting. That's what makes life better. Keep learning about each other. Keep supporting each other. Please love somebody out there because somebody out here loves you. Always remember that if you're not helping someone, you're hurting everyone, and no one has to go it alone when we all come together. We will be back on Monday with another episode of Footprints Forward, and next Wednesday, we will be back right here on Community Impact. My name is Zach Clayton, Community Pay It Forward, Community Dare to Care, and the PACT channels. I want to thank you very much. Hopefully, we'll get this stupid Facebook EV Mukes thing fixed. I took and tagged them both on Facebook. We'll see if that gets any response, or of course, if it just gets me permanently kicked off Facebook, one of the two. Thank you very much. Have a great week. Hey, take care of each other. We're all we got.
Show me the way. You wanna hold the heart of Sunset Boulevard. Bring me here, 'cause it's not quite clear to be a part of Sunset Boulevard.